Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here. Stringbuzzworld.org being the music journalism site, links should be in the description down below by now. Anyways, it's pretty grey outside in Britain at the moment. I mean, it's been pouring down all night. I'm out here in the annex just recording another video, and I go to YouTube and there's no new songs really uploaded. I mean, there's a couple from a couple days ago, like by people like Trey Songs and such like that, but nobody's been really talking about them, so I don't really see the big hype in these tracks. So I'm feeling a little bit deflated, so why don't I do this top 5 list and refer to the top 5 list I put up on Stringbuzz fairly recently of things I hate in pop music of 2016. I think it's only fitting. I'm going to refer to the original article just to give you a more rounded argument for each point I give. I might have changed some things up here, so if you see me scrolling quite a lot in this video, because obviously my laptop's right behind you, well that's because, I've changed my honourable mention to actually my number 2 spot, which is on the original article, so you're going to hear something slightly different to what I originally put. Anyways, let's dive straight into it. So 2016 has been a very varied year for music. All the acts I expected to do well this year have sort of faltered off, yet we've had some of the best music of the year made by the most unlikely of artists. I'm talking people like Maggie Rogers, Solange, and others who have gone down this line, and they've really changed up even Bridget Mendler fairly recently, they've changed up their act and they've sounded brilliant this year, and some of the people I've really expected to do well with their new albums, people like Animals as Leaders, even some stuff by Pharrell Williams I've found, even though if you don't already know, I haven't been following the site, I actually respect him very highly. I've just thought a lot of the stuff he's actually sang on hasn't been nearly as good as what he's produced. So it's been a bit of a varied year for music, like I've said. And when you concentrate on pop music in particular, and you exclude all the other types of music, this statement is only further proven. Pop music has been impossible to keep track of this year. The sheer wealth of huge artists recording in 2016 has left us feeling a little weary, in all honesty. Especially when we hear these particular things reused and recycled. So cue the title of the segment, basically. Things we hate in pop music. So I'm going to start with number 5, and it's forced drug culture. I'd say about 1 in 3 tracks we listen to involves some form of drug use in pop music now. Is that a bad thing? Well, not on the surface. So we're hardly PC here at Stringbuzz, and I don't really care for the content of a song as long as that content is well arranged and is catchy. I don't care what the song is about as long as I enjoy it. But when it comes to drug references and drug culture, it's really beginning to rustle my timbers. You have these ex-bubblegum pop acts like Miley Cyrus obviously releasing tracks to do with smoking the reefer. You have acts like Disturbed releasing music about blazing up. And you have indie groups like The Neighbourhood talking about how they survive off of weed. And, am I missing something here? Now, these acts might sound like they might do these things in real life, and I'm not saying that they don't. But do we really have to listen to them talking about it? There are probably over 200 million people just in the more economically developed world who do some form of drugs, either hardcore or sort of light type drugs. So what makes you so special, basically? The only act I've seen all year do drug culture justice is actually Macklemore when he released Drug Dealer with Ariana DeBose, I think was the feature on that. He demonized it and he summed up the culture perfectly. He actually, went against it. But he had like a case to prove. He brought his own perspective onto the matter. And I don't care if people are writing these pro-drug type songs, as long as they put across their perspective and, why they think the culture is good across, have an argument in your track if need be. Make a track that's going to stir feelings after it's finished its runtime. So, like I said here, but I'm hearing these rich white girls and upper-class mummies boys sing about how they love to puff things up, and it just sounds horrific. The wordplay is usually terrible, the lyricism in general is usually awful, and their self-proclaimed clever references are blatantly obvious ploys to capitalise on an ever-growing stoner crowd. So please just stop it. Stop with the forced drug culture references. So number 4, and this is still the same thing, I'm still referring to the original article here because I quite like this listing to start off with. So steel pans in every song. Now this might sound a bit different to what you'd probably be used to hearing on these, things we hate in pop music lists, but I think this particular point applies to 2016 above all else. I mean, it's probably, as soon as I look back at 2016 for a year for pop music, steel pans are the things I'm going to, demonise and want to forget. Now, I don't hate steel pans. In fact, I don't hate them one bit. I've even had a friend who's part of a professional steel pan troupe who have played to the likes of the Queen and all sorts of folk around here in Britain. They've toured the UK, in fact, doing this sort of thing. But this fad has to stop in pop music. Every other other track these days has steel pan bass progressions that cry out for the urban crowd. This overproduction and excessive use of the instrument in electronic music is really getting on my nerves at the moment. It's making every track sound the same, and there is only so much you can do with the pan's timbre and tone. It's hardly the most unique of tones. I mean, it just sounds like any other pad. So it's great to hear it, 3 or 4 times, but when you're hearing it, one in every 2 tracks, it's actually getting ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong, I love reggae and ska, but in general pop music, I find it so lifeless and pandering. This abundant amount of African culture and Caribbean music is great to hear in the charts. I like the diversity that is beginning to enter the charts this year. But when it's done by people who just don't know what they're doing and they're just jumping on the trend and they've executed it poorly, then it just doesn't work for me. And you can actually blame us Brits for, going into this crowd way too often. I mean, we have acts like Muramasa and Clean Bandit. You're basically using them for every other track. But, you Americans aren't. I can't excuse you as well, because you've got people like Maroon 5 using it now, which admittedly is just Adam Levine and others. And it's swept the globe and sort of outstayed its welcome, in my opinion. This basically has to die out by 2017, otherwise pop music's going to get increasingly difficult. So as you can see, I'm scrolling down now to see the rest of the article. So let's move on to number 3, and this might be a bit of an odd one as well. But this is largely, this is very temporary, and I don't see this continuing on into 2017, and I really hope it doesn't. But I basically named this point, so this is number 3, like I said, those ruddy horns. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, meme culture and Vine culture has led to these air horns being used in modern music. It's very funny in dank meme compilations, that's all great, but it's not very funny to listen to in serious tracks being produced every day. At least 3 songs I hear per day have these stupid air horns, and the joke is dead now. So, like H3H3 said, you never rely on a dead meme. I mean, trap music is the worst for using these air horns, but I hear people like Mike Will Manners who uses it on every single one of his beats now, and I'm just finding it very, very dull. The funniest use, though, has to be when Keke Palmer's released her track Hands Free, and she used air horns on there. Like I said here, she used it literally after delivering an emotional speech to break into this like reggae pop track all about sex. It just broke it sounded so stupid. She delivered this 30-second long really inspirational speech, and then you hear these massive air horns come in, and she used the air horns over 18 times in one track. And oh God, I don't even like looking back at it, if I'm totally honest. So music is all sorts of jumbled at the minute, and now I realise that the horns have been used before, before Vine culture and all that sort of stuff, back to the start of the reggae movement, but that was about 40 to 50 years ago now, and times have to change, and this has to change. Get rid of the air horns in tracks, it makes your track sound stupid. So anyways, this is where things change up. I'm not going to do the normal number 2, which I actually put on the original segment, but instead I'm going to use my honourable mention, because this one is actually made me grit my teeth further throughout this year. So my number 2 place, which was originally an honourable mention, is features. Now, I don't really have, a problem with features, but like I said here, there are pop tracks coming out today with up to 5 features. 5 in a single runtime of 3 or 4 minutes. So these people are getting on average less than a minute. And you've got to bear in mind, it's always going to be jumbled, and there's always going to be disproportionate amounts given to each artists. So you often have artists, especially, and the ASAP mob are most guilty of this, appearing on songs for literally 10 or 15 seconds. What's the point? Just add like a decorative part. That's practically a transition rather than a section. That's less than, like I said here, that's less than a minute per feature, and that's taken into account that those features are even allowed the full minute. Not just that, you have over 30 people writing these songs, 5 people producing them, and often session musicians to come in and play the pieces. That means you can have up to 50 people on a single pop track of about 3 minutes. I mean, Beyonce's been guilty of having 28 to 30 writers on a single track before, and when that seems tame in comparison to this year when you're getting up to 50 people interfering with a track. And like I said here, that there's a saying that says too many chefs ruin the broth, and that's been proven here. I'm so fed up of the tacked on rap features by artists who are just there for a paycheck. We had Wiz Khalifa featuring on an Ex-Ambassadors track this year. We've had G-Eazy appearing on The Neighbourhood's latest album. But let's address the elephant in the room here. Chris Brown and Drake have appeared on every single track this year. I'm so fed up of this feature bullcrap. If the track's finished, just finish it. Don't tack on a rap just to, increase it by 30 seconds. It's just no point. Just add a bridge or something. Like I said here, write a proper bridge instead of chucking in another rap verse. And talking of Chris Brown, I mean, he was very lucky not to feature on this list. Now, do I hate him as an artist? No, not at all. Do I think his music's that bad? Not really. But he's released about 7,000 songs this year, and he's most guilty for featuring on literally every other track. So, he's lucky that I just rounded features up as a whole rather than just bringing him into it in solo fashion. So my number one worst thing in pop music this year for me, and I'm so surprised other people haven't talked about it, and I'd be shocked that if people look back on this year that they don't look at this number one point and think, yeah, actually it's been a hard one. So the word work is my is my number one thing I hate the most in pop music this year. Oh my goodness, is this an overused word trend? I cannot believe that the biggest word this year is work. Now, we've had popular phrases before like want you back, set fire, and I don't need you. We hear these sort of phrases always used in pop music. They're recurring, and I got bored of them. But the word work trumps these phrases in repetition throughout the year. How nobody noticed that Rihanna's track Work uses the same hook as Fifth Harmony's track Work From Home, just sped up, is absolutely astonishing. And you bear in mind that these tracks were released about a month/a month and a half from each other, makes it even worse. And every other song I just hear work, just randomly, even in verses or in hooks. And what does it even mean? It's just ridiculous. I get it's a cheap innuendo, and is that really meant to be that funny or clever? But when we hear over 3 hours of music dedicated to the word, it's too much. In the past, Wiz Khalifa has used it, David Guetta and Akon have obviously used it together. Young Nation has used it, Iggy Azalea very, very famously used it, and Lil Jon has used it. A$AP Ferg has used it, and that's just naming people off the top of my head at the time of writing the article. I didn't even type any of this up. If you typed in more, you could probably find plenty more. If you type in work or work by to YouTube, there are going to be about 7 or 8 artists who have a track with, just that word as their name. And if you listen to the hook, it will just all sound identical. This has to stop and be left in the dust immediately. Luckily, it's began to fade away this half of the year, but now it's become a thing in the first place. It's actually scary for the future of pop music. So that's my top 5 list. I know this is quite a long video, actually, much longer than I'm used to doing, but it's quite a lengthy list, if I'm honest, and I wanted to go into, full explanations for things I hated in pop music this year. So if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye-bye.